The 2019 NASCAR season is already in the books, and we saw a really good season in the Gander Outdoor Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, and not to mention the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. From one driver winning the championship without winning a race during the season to another driver becoming the first ever to win back-to-back championships with two different teams. And we have a driver that has capped off a record breaking season by winning his second Cup Series championship. And we'll also talk about more about the news of Jimmie Johnson retiring at the end of 2020. So, a lot to talk about tonight. And we'll also talk about more of what's coming up in the offseason. And, guys, this is pretty much the part of the season where I'm just like, what am I going to do until February? The season's over. But anyways, we got a lot to talk about tonight. So his name is Chris. My name is Corey, and this is the CNJ Speedway Review. Welcome back, folks, to the CNJ Speedway Review as we are recapping a championship weekend at Homestead Miami Speedway, which was won by the three drivers who have won the championship, which were Matt Crafton in the Truck Series, Tyler Reddick in Xfinity, and then, of course, Kyle Busch, who won his second Cup Series championship. So a lot to talk about tonight, and all I could just say to Chris, who is on the other line right now, I could just tell you this, only 88 more days until Daytona.
You've got it counted out already. I like that.
Oh, yeah. I think I did the math right if I'm not mistaken.
You're probably right, but there's a lot to do. You have Thanksgiving, Christmas, NFL. Like I know we talked about it last year. The worst 2 weeks is the 2 weeks between the Super Bowl and Daytona. That, to me, the worst 2 weeks ever in the history of ever.
Exactly. And if you think about it, so right after the Super Bowl, you got Speed Weeks at Daytona, which started up the very next week.
Race, and there's only, when they say the race, that is the running of the Daytona 500. That's what people are looking for. That's what people want.
Yeah.
All right. So I told Corey before the episode, this is his ship to steer. I am but a mere passenger on this championship cruise, if you will.
Of course. So this is pretty much my show. I'm steering it tonight, so it's going to be fun, guys. So tune in. There's going to be a lot of exciting stuff.
Absolutely. So where do you want to go first?
All right. So I definitely want to talk about Jimmie Johnson, who announced today that he is going to retire at the end of 2020. And all I could just say is, to me, like, at first, like, I was surprised. But then yet again, you knew it was coming because now, we're already seeing an era, of all these drivers who I used to watch when I started, coming into the sport, guys like Jeff Gordon and Dale Jr. and Tony Stewart, now we already have guys that have either left or have already decided, they're leaving. But I just look at Jimmie Johnson and, of course, the fact that, he has a 2-year winless streak, hasn't won a race in the last 2 years. But let's face it, if he goes to the Hall of Fame tomorrow, there's no doubt that he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer because you look at his stats, they're this. 83 wins, 227 top fives, 364 top tens, 7 championships, 2 Daytona 500s, I believe 4 All-Star wins, 3 or 4 Coca-Cola 600 wins, I think 4 wins at the Brickyard. So let's face it, he's got like ridiculously amounts of stats piled up, but they're really good like on the flip side. But I could just tell you a little quick story. So when I first started coming into NASCAR, I remember the years, when Jimmie Johnson started winning races. He started winning those championships, 5 in a row, which, you're never going to see again. And then, of course, the last one being, his 7th championship under the playoff format. But again, I think it would be really awesome, if he could go out on top next year and get that 8th championship. It would be really cool. But, then yet again, this team is on a 2-year winless streak. They just haven't been – I mean, they have been okay, but, they still got a lot of work to do. But honestly, I will say this. It's going to be very interesting to see, who Rick Hendrick puts in that 48 car in 2021.
I'm sure with the crop of drivers that's out there that are looking to get into a high-quality ride and in many cases deserve a high quality ride. Putting someone in the seat in the 48 is not going to be an issue. The issue is going to be much like with Chase Elliott first and then later on William Byron. You're filling the seat of a legend. And I may pick on Jimmy Johnson quite a bit, and I may make jokes at Jimmy Johnson's expense, and I may tease Jimmy Johnson fans to the point of tears. But again, you can't argue with 7 championships. You can't argue with 80-plus wins. You can't argue with any of this. He's won at just about every track there is to win at on the circuit. And he's done it all in a relatively short time. When you think about it, he was a rookie in the 2002 campaign. That's a 17-year career. Now you take those 7 championships, nearly half your career you've been holding the big prize.
Right.
That's a pretty lofty accomplishment. You can't shake a stick at that. And again, much like we'll talk about with the champions that we're going to talk about coming out of Homestead this weekend, when it's all said and done, and I said this to other people in regard to football this past weekend or any time they ask if you won. And Jimmy Johnson can say that he won over and over and over again. It will be a different world without Jimmy Johnson. Will it affect me? It wasn't like, watching Jeff Gordon retire. It wasn't like watching Tony Stewart retire. There have been others where they go and oh, it's going to suck that he's gone. And that's one of those. It's like, okay, Jimmy's gone. It kind of sucks without him. But it's kind of sucked with him the last 2 years, unfortunately.
Of course. And I'm going to put you this right on the spot. So who would you think replaces Jimmy Johnson in 2021?
That's a good question. Most of the guys coming up are already going to have rides like a Custer, a Bell, et cetera, so forth. If I had to pick, wow, you'd have to look at someone who's younger, maybe a Chase Briscoe, maybe a Sheldon Creed. They're going to go with the youth movement. You look at those guys that are running the Hendrick cars now, and they're all under the age of 30. And they're literally, Hendrick is rebuilding from the ground up. It's not ever going to be the days of, Craven and Gordon and Terry Labonte and, name Ken Schrader or some of the other great drivers that have sat behind a Hendrick automobile. Kyle Busch was in a Hendrick automobile. Casey Kane was in a Hendrick automobile. It isn't like the days where you can just pluck and pick and choose. Your bumper crop is leaving slowly. The cultivated crop coming up from the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series is where they're going to have to look. My money's on either Chase Briscoe or Sheldon Creed a year from now.
So if I had to pick one right now, and I kind of thought about this real easily, but I'm going to go with Justin Allgaier.
Really? Not exactly a young gun, but not exactly a grizzled veteran either.
So if you think about it, he's been in the Cup Series, I think, for probably 1 year when he was driving for H. Scott Motorsports or pretty much Turner Scott Motorsports at the time. And then, of course, he has been driving in the Xfinity Series most of the years, which, of course, Junior Motorsports is affiliate with Hendrick Motorsports. So I'm kind of thinking, Allgaier has Cup experience. He's only ran one full season. I think that was in 2014. But I would probably say now, I would think Allgaier, might be the top leading candidate, that could replace Jimmy Johnson in 2021. In fact, another thing that would surprise me the most, and I don't know if this is going to be kind of a gray area or kind of a, whatever they decide to do, but I wouldn't be surprised if Justin Allgaier goes to Hendrick, replaces Jimmy Johnson, and then rebrands the number from 48 to 7. Now, I don't know who has number 7 in the Cup Series right now, but,
I think it's
just think about it.
Joey Gase, maybe?
I don't think so. But
I don't know.
But if you think about it, Chase Elliott, he ran the 24 car for the last 2 years, and now he's running the number 9, which of course, which was run by his dad's car back in the day. And then of course, you have William Byron who's in the 24. So that part, to me, whether if Allgaier goes to Hendrick Motorsports and then if they decide to rebrand the number to number 7, I would be okay with it. And then, of course, and if Brandt comes on board, I'd be okay with that too. So that's the only driver that I can think about, who's probably going to be the top leading candidate, that's going to replace Johnson. Other than that, some people will say like, oh, what about Noah Gragson, who's going to come on board? No, I would give Gragson 2 more years in Xfinity, and then when the kid's ready to go to Cup, he's ready to go to Cup. But I think Allgaier, if they would choose him tomorrow to drive the 48, I wouldn't be surprised. But for a guy that's had Cup Series experience the last couple of years, I think he deserves to be back in Cup again.
Okay, I can agree with every single thing you just said. It's not the worst idea ever. It is a little off the Hendrick path of the last few years that we've seen, where they get considerably younger each time they hire up a new guy. But yeah, I could see Allgaier in that 48, or giving it a new number or what have you, turning it into the 84. Who knows? I mean, give it its own identity. Much like I thought when Jeff Gordon retired, that stylized 24 should never be run again. It can still be the number 24, but that 24 in our mind's eye, when you see that, you think Jeff Gordon, much like that 3 that Austin Dillon should not be running. That stylized 3 belongs to Dale Earnhardt.
And then, of course, you got the 43 car, which is also run by Bubba Wallace. And, of course, when everybody thinks about the 43, you think about, the days when Richard Petty used to drive that car and pretty much drove it to 200 wins in a season.
Yeah, but the difference is Richard Petty owns that team. So, all right, I can see that living on through that. He drove that 43. He is the 43. Think of the guys that have been in there, like John Andretti, Bobby Hamilton Sr., the guys over the years, and now Bubba Wallace. So, that 43 is not going to go away anytime soon. But again, yeah, you're right. When you see that 43, the first name that comes to my head is not Bubba Wallace. It's Richard Petty.
Exactly. And then, of course, you think about the 21 car and the Wood brothers, you think about, the drivers that have driven that car, throughout the years. And, of course, you think about this, Matt DiBenedetto wins a race next year. He'll get his 100th win for the Wood brothers. And I think it'd be pretty awesome, if Guido ends up winning the 500, gets the 100th win for the Wood brothers. I think that'd be pretty awesome.
Any win he picks up next season, as long as, that 100th win for the Wood brothers come, great story. Doesn't matter if it's Daytona, Dover, Bristol, what have you.
Right.
All right, so what else do we got?
So let's see. So there was so I got a couple scenarios in the rumor mill. So rumor mill number 1, it looked as if Daniel Suarez was going to go to Richard Childress Racing's Xfinity team and run a partial Cup Series team, but now there is possible talks of him going to Front Row Motorsports in 2020. So I'm kind of thinking to myself, all right, so now David Ragan's retired, and of course the 36 car, which of course Matt Tifft had to vacate that ride. So I'm kind of thinking to myself, I do want to see Suarez, stay in the Cup Series, but I probably say the only ride that he's going to have to take right now is Front Row Motorsports. And I can tell you this, Front Row Motorsports, they're a consistent team, but when it comes to Daytona and Talladega, that they're pretty much up at the front, most of the time. I mean, hey, that's what happened with David Ragan, who won years ago at Talladega, but I think that's the only scenario that I can think of. But then I kind of thought, Childress would be a pretty good team, but, I would probably say, that 2 car is probably going to have a couple part-time drivers that are going to run that car in Xfinity next year, but pretty much simple as that.
Okay. Again, I think I don't run the team. I think you got a bum deal, considering the 7 seasons that Danica wrecked everything that she put her hands on. But yeah, Suarez got a bad end of the deal, and sorry, I can't not express my displeasure enough at that move. I don't think they gave him enough of a chance to prove that he could take that 41 car to victory lane.
Exactly.
Well, moving
And
right along, my friend.
and also one other thing, if you're planning on watching NASCAR on Fox in 2020, so keep this in mind. There's going to be two announcers in the booth, only Mike Joy and Jeff Gordon.
That's
So
right,
it looks
because
so it
DW.
looks like yeah. Anyways,
No, I was
okay.
listening to your point. I'm
Uh
sorry.
okay. All right. So anyways, so this will probably be pretty much the year, without Darrell Waltrip, but I want to say to me, like, I really think Fox should have chose a third analyst and so forth, but I would say I'd probably be okay with sticking with two for now.
Don't be surprised though if a couple three races into the season they introduce a third voice into the booth. A two-man booth is doable, but it's not the best scenario. I mean, I remember Benny Parsons and Bob Jenkins back in the early 90s. The three-man booth really didn't come about until the late 90s when they figured out, we need an extra voice. We're killing ourselves in here.
Right.
So, and Fox really took that three-man racing booth to a new level when they entered the sport in 2001. So again, they're trying something new. They're going to see if it sticks. Mike Joy, fantastic. Jeff Gordon, just as equally fantastic.
Yeah.
But if it get, but it, what did I miss?
I don't think you missed anything. I'm still there.
Okay. As I was saying, yeah, don't be surprised if a three-man booth comes into play somewhere around late March, early April.
Okay. I could probably see that.
All right.
All righty.
Hey, man, it's your ship. I'm just riding on it.
All righty. So you want to dive into the races now?
Let's do it.
All right. So we're gonna start off with as I'm trying to get to the race. My iPad's literally being a pain right now. But anyways, let's dive into the Truck Series race, which was won by none other than Austin Hill, who got his fourth win of 2019. But not only he ends up winning the race, but we have Matt Crafton, who ends up winning his second Truck Series championship. And I would probably say the second only guy to win a championship without winning a race throughout the whole entire season. So I'd probably say going into this race on Friday night, it was going to come down, and I predicted it was going to come down between Ross Chastain and Brett Moffitt, but those guys were pretty much hanging around the back most of the entire night. But all in all, throughout the night, Austin Hill, when he had that truck out front, nobody couldn't touch him. And of course, Matt Crafton, he had a consistent night, and then with Stuart Friesen, he kind of really consistent too, but he fell back late in the race. But I will say this, though, I would say going into the playoffs, nobody ended up picking Matt Crafton to win the championship. I didn't even pick him to win the championship either, but, I had said that, that he had a really good fighting chance to win it, but sure enough, he stayed out of trouble. He had a really good truck all night and ended up winning the second championship. And then, of course, with Austin Hill, who ends up getting his fourth win of the season.
And not only that, it's his third championship overall. He's one behind Ron Hornaday on the all-time championship list in the Truck Series.
Yep.
He really came out. I don't want to say came out of nowhere, but again, like you said, nobody, at least not here on this show, or a lot of the people we know, were picking Matt Crafton to walk away with the trophy. But like you said, he was consistent. Not only did Austin Hill have a fantastic truck and did all the right things, but Matt Crafton just, like you said, he was hanging tough. Whereas the other guys, I was going to ask you about that. Did it look like they were playing the Talladega game where let's drop to the back, let all the bad things happen up front, and then we'll go up to the front later? Do you think they were playing that game?
I don't think they were. I mean, the racing, I want to say not only Friday, but this weekend, it was okay, but I want to say it was a clean race in all three of them, but I think it was just too clean. But, there weren't that many cautions if you think about it. And then, of course, you only have about, let's say, 13 trucks that finished on the lead lap. But, I would say that it was a consistent race. I mean, it wasn't really too bad. But again, I wish the racing could have been better. But, whatever we got is whatever we got this weekend.
It's funny you brought that up because I was thinking after everybody left on Sunday and I was going home and I watched the next day on one of the NASCAR shows. I want to say it was NASCAR America.
Yeah.
I think all three of these races, like you said, were not only clean, but too clean.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to ruffle feathers. And, excuse me for saying this, but part of why I like racing is, everybody's gunning for the same thing at the end of the day, the checkered flag. In these three races, you had four guys that were going after a championship trophy and all the accolade that goes. It almost seemed as, and I'll just use, say, Tyler Reddick as an example because I watched the tail end of that race. He's coming up on the lapped cars. And instead of that lap car hanging on and trying to hold on to their lap and trying to keep that position and stay afloat, there you go, Tyler. Just go right by. We'll see you at the end. Save me a beer. It's all good. I think the same thing happened with the big three and Denny Hamlin on the Cup Series. I didn't see much of the truck race, but Austin Hill did exactly what he should have done, go out there and just bludgeon the field and come away with the victory. Matt Crafton went out there, did what he had to do, but it did seem like whenever Crafton or Friesen or Chastain got near somebody, they just, and even Moffitt too, people just kind of stepped to the side. Here you go. Here's another position for you. It's not. Right. That's not what anybody wanted to see.
I don't think so too, but let's face it, even if you would have gotten into an accident or something like that, your race is done anyway. So I think, they were trying to be pretty much consistent and they were trying to be clean to one another. But I mean, and let's face it, Homestead hasn't brought us the best type of racing that we've seen in the last couple of years. But, I thought it was an okay race, but, yet again, hats off to Matt Crafton.
Absolutely. Great to see. What do you say? The old guy still got it.
Yeah.
And boy, he was right. Great to see Matt Crafton with that championship again. And you mentioned he did it with 0 wins. Now, this is going to be where you're going to have the Boo Birds come out and cry the blues. I told you that this playoff chase system wasn't going to work, and he had 0 wins. And it's not the first time it's ever happened.
No.
Van Vanden's won a championship on the Cup Series with 1, but nobody cried the blues about Terry Labonte back in the day, who did the same thing, had 1 extra win. Nobody cried the blues. These are the same people that cry the blues about stage racing. Well, these are also people that go to their local tracks and watch the heat racing before the feature, which is basically the third stage of that race.
Right.
Keep your hypocrite mouth shut and enjoy. We're never going to go back, okay? We're never going to have, guys like Jack Sprague and Ron Hornaday and Matt Crafton again. They eventually walk on. We get the new crop that comes up, and we hope that they're just as good. In some cases, we want them to be better than the guys that came before. We're never going to have Jeff Gordon again. We're never going to have Earnhardt again. We're never going to have Rusty Wallace again. Let's enjoy what we have. And what I'm going to enjoy most about this is Matt Crafton all season long never gave up. No wins, no problem. I kept myself in the hunt.
Right.
And that's pretty much, in my opinion, that's why I think this system works.
I definitely agree too.
All right. So run them down, man. How'd they finish?
All right. So you got Austin Hill who won the race. You have Matt Crafton who finished in second. Christian Eckes who came in third. Ross Chastain finished in fourth. Brett Moffitt came home in fifth. And then Johnny Sauter rounded out in sixth. Grant Enfinger in seventh. Todd Gilliland in eighth. Sheldon Creed in ninth. And then Parker Kligerman rounds out the top 10. And then you have Stuart Friesen in 11th. You have Ben Rhodes in 12th, Harrison Burton in 13th, Joe Nemechek in 14th, Gus Dean in 15th, Tanner Gray in 16th, and then, of course, you have Austin Wayne Self in 19th, Natalie Decker in 20th, Tyler Ankrum in 22nd. Then you have, you have Josh Bilicki in 30th, and then Anthony Alfredo in 32nd.
All right. It's our last one of the season. Might as well give our happies and sads away. Mine's easy. I'm going to give my happy to Matt Crafton. Championship, second place finish, never gave up, consistent all year, did all the right things. And whether you win 1 race, 0 races, 8 races, I'll put it to you this way. Much like in baseball, if your team goes to the playoffs as a wild card and you win the World Series, you're still a champion. So, Matt Crafton, tip of the hat to you. I know our good friend Jason Blue is excited. He's already ordered his championship Matt Crafton hat, and I can't wait to see it when we bring him on the show in 2 weeks. My sad's gonna go to Stuart Friesen. Didn't look like he had much to offer in this race, which is sad because I think you and I were both looking forward to a fantastic run and hopefully a championship out of Stuart Friesen during this race.
Yeah, my sad is definitely going to go with the same thing too. And then my happy, I'm going to go with Austin Hill, who picks up his 4th win of the season. Again, they're picking up a lot of momentum, and hopefully, they can bring that momentum in the 2020. So I would probably say, best to watch out for this team next year. They could possibly make a run to the championship again, they won a championship last year with Brett Moffitt. I think they can probably do it again next season.
Absolutely. And now we gave you the picks on Sunday during the live broadcast. For those of you who did not join us on Sunday, why didn't you? But here come the picks. Corey had Stuart Friesen as his lock. He finished 11th. He had Todd Gilliland as his sleeper. He finished 8th for a total of 19. Corey's finish was a 9.5. I had Ross Chastain as my lock. He finished 4th. I had Sheldon Creed as my sleeper. He finished 9th for a total of 13. My finish was a 6.5, 1 point to me. And once again, congratulations not only to every member of the championship. Congratulations, Crafton, as your 2019 Gander Outdoor Truck Series champion. And thank you to the entire Gander Outdoor Truck Series drivers for a fantastic season.
Indeed.
All right, moving right along, we come to Saturday, and...
So Saturday we have the Xfinity Series race, which was won by not only Tyler Reddick, but ended up winning his 2nd championship. So the first time he has won back-to-back championships with 2 different teams. And I will say this, though. I thought the finish was fantastic. It came down to 2 guys that were going to duke it out for the championship, him and Cole Custer. And then, of course, Christopher Bell, he was kind of in the mix for a little bit, but then he fell back. And then the worst was pretty much Justin Allgaier, who cut down a tire late in the race, which that ended his championship hopes to win the title. But, I thought it was a smooth race. Again, Reddick and Custer, those guys were battling it out for the lead a couple times. And it was probably, I would say, a good finish, And again, with Tyler Reddick coming into the season, when they first announced that he was going to Richard Childress Racing this year, I thought, okay, something tells me that, I wouldn't mind if he wins another championship. But most importantly, I expect him to win a lot of races this year. And sure enough, the 2 team ended up getting their 6 wins of the season. Great year. I'd probably say, with the championship, well, the big 3, Allgaier, not Allgaier, Christopher Bell, Custer, and Reddick, they put on a hell of a show this year. And I mean, if you think about it, all 3 of them, they had a combined 22 wins total. And, with all 3 of them moving to the Cup Series next year, it's going to be very interesting to see how they all fare out. I know some of them, have raced in the Cup Series before, and then there's probably one that hasn't raced in Cup just yet. But I think it's going to be interesting. And I thought, this year's Xfinity Series season, I thought it was fantastic. Even though you had some wins, which was won by Kyle Busch, but that doesn't matter. But, mostly this season was dominated by the big 3. You had a lot of the young guys that, that ran pretty good all year long. And hopefully, we'll see an exciting Xfinity Series in 2020.
Just to go back to your point, in the top 4, your championship 4 in the Xfinity Series, there were 21 wins among those 4 drivers, 8 by Christopher Bell, 7 by Custer, 5 going into this weekend by Reddick, and 1 by Allgaier. You add this past weekend's win, that's 22 wins among them, with Tyler Reddick winning the race and the championship. One thing I mentioned to you over the weekend was in listening to this race while at work and then coming home and watching the tail end of it, I kept the earbud in. I had the TV on, earbud in. Because MRN and the guys on MRN Radio, the voice of NASCAR, were calling that race as if it were the most exciting thing they'd ever seen. And then when I got home and I turned on the race, it really was. We called it last week, and I think our prediction came true, that this was the most exciting race of all 3. We thought it was going to be going in. It turns out we were correct coming out. Fantastic race, like you said. Tough for Justin Allgaier. Watching Reddick go through the field. Cole Custer having another good race. Christopher Bell, not the best of days. I said it a couple weeks ago. I thought maybe this was his Kyle Larson moment where you get all these wins and then there's nowhere to go but down. Unfortunately, would have been nice to see Christopher. Would have been nice to see Christopher Bell a little more competitive, but in the end, he's still in the championship 4. In the end, he still collected a top 5, and in the end, should. I believe he's going to have a run on the Cup Series next year. But if he decides to run full-time for this Xfinity Championship next year, I think it's going to be a little tougher next year for Reddick to hold on and three-peat. And Christopher Bell just may say, you know what? You took it from me the first time. You took it from me the second time. There's not going to be a third time.
Of course.
So let's run down the finishing order, and we'll go to picks and happies and sads.
All right, so we got Tyler Reddick who wins the race. You have Cole Custer who finished in second. Chase Briscoe rounds out in third. Then you have Noah Gragson in fourth. You have Christopher Bell in fifth. Then John Hunter Nemechek in sixth. Austin Cindric in seventh. Brandon Jones in eighth. Jeb Burton in ninth. And then Harrison Burton rounds out your top 10. And then you have Michael Annett in 11th. You have Ryan Sieg in 12th. You have Justin Allgaier in 14th. Jeremy Clements in 16th. Greg Galding in 17th. Then you have, you got Joe Nemechek in 29th. You have CJ McLaughlin in 31st. Justin Haley in 33rd. And then last but not least, you have Ray Black Jr. in 38th.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give a dual happy. I'm going to give it to both Tyler Reddick, your eventual champion, and Cole Custer, the second of the big two. Going into this race, I don't think a lot of people gave Custer too much of a chance. You know, you have Christopher Bell, who dominated the series all year. Yes, Cole Custer was right behind him in wins. He was right behind him in top 5s. He had a few more top 10s than Christopher Bell. But again, everybody thought this is Bell's championship to lose. And lose he did. Custer came closer than anybody to toppling Tyler Reddick. Unfortunately, he didn't do it. So I'm going to give it to both Custer and Reddick. My sad is going to go to Justin Allgaier. Was hanging out that tire, and it just took his day from a honest third place, maybe a second place, possibly winning the race in the championship, to having to settle for a 14th.
Right. And of course, my sad would definitely have to go the same thing as well. And then my happy is definitely a guy, has to be a guy that wasn't in the championship 4, but my happy, I'm going to go Chase Briscoe. You know, finishing off the season third, and it's a good finish for him. And of course, you know, the guys on the TV, they said that, you know, he hasn't signed a contract for next year. So hopefully, and God willing, hopefully, you know, he'll be able to go back to Stewart-Haas Racing next year in 2020.
Okay, excellent. Now I'm going to go to the picks. I had Cole Custer as my lock. He finished second. I had Justin Allgaier as my sleeper. He finished 14th. That's a total of 16. My finish was an 8. Corey had Christopher Bell as his lock. He finished 5th. He took Chase Briscoe as his sleeper. He finished 3rd. That's a total of 8. Corey wins with a 4, and he gets the 2 points for the Xfinity Series. One more time, let's give it up for not only Corey taking that round, let's give it up for all the championship, for all the drivers, and most especially our 2019 champion, Tyler Reddick.
All right.
Got a special beer just for him. This is C&J Speedway Review Cold Beer Jones. This is only available. Yes. It's only available here on this show. All right, so I made a joke online Monday before we talk about the Cup Series, and boy, did I catch some flack. You know, we live in a world where people can just claim, this is not my president, this is not my this, I don't have to listen to you, I don't have to do this, you have to listen to me. So my mantra for the next year, we're going to do this. Hashtag. And I'm going to give you this hashtag not my champion.
That is too funny.
And I'm kidding around about that. You guys know me and this show well enough. Is that, you know, we talked a lot about Kyle Busch in the pre-race on Sunday. We talked about it last Thursday night on the show. He's just one of those guys you can never ever take your eyes off of. You can't count him out. Had 8 wins last season, came up short. Has 4 wins this season, wins the race for his 5th win and a championship. He is now a 2-time champion. He's got 50-plus wins on the Cup Series. He's for real. Say what you want about his attitude. Say what you want about his crybaby interviews. Say what you want about the fact that he thinks the sun doesn't rise until he gets up in the morning. The kid can flat out run.
I mean, I will say this too, and not to mention, too, but like, I mean, the records that he's broken this year as well, first in March, he broke Richard Petty's all-time wins list.
No, he didn't. No, he did not. Stop it. Stop it. No, do not go on. I will cancel the rest of this broadcast. He did not break a record. Richard Petty won 200 wins on the Cup Series. Kyle Busch does not have the record on the Cup Series. None. He doesn't even have the active record on the Cup Series. He has 200-plus collective wins over 3 series. That's it. He is not the all-time leader. The next person that says that is going to get 5 to the lip, because I am not listening to this junk anymore. I just went off on Colin Kaepernick last night on the other show. I will take a few minutes and go nuts on Kyle Busch tonight.
Yeah.
Not my champion.
And also not to mention, he's the all-time wins leader in Xfinity and the Truck Series. So that's pretty much another record that he broke off too. So, but I don't know, because like if you look at
those are legit. Yes. Yeah.
Well, not only that, you capped off a lot of records this year, but to add it up with a championship, I thought was incredible. But you just look at his playoffs this year, and I'm just gonna pop it up just about a couple minutes and so forth. So these are his playoff results between Vegas and Homestead. So he starts off finishing 19th at Vegas, finishes 2nd at Homestead, and then of course, and I'm going to just say this, his only worst finish in the playoffs this year was pretty much 37th at the Charlotte Roval. But other than that, they had a couple top 5s, top 10 finishes, and of course he had that win, which of course that locked him winning the championship as well.
Watching this, and we talked about it Thursday night, and it bears repeating today. Any one of these guys, Hamlin, Busch, Harvick, Truex, all 4 of them had tremendous races this weekend. Truex led, Harvick led, Hamlin sniffed the lead, Busch takes the lead, Busch wins the race. This was, again, this stamps why this playoff format works.
Yeah.
You can't say you can't say enough, especially when you look now. You have, you had the 3 past champions, and of course Kyle Busch winning his 2nd overall. You have Denny Hamlin, who's a legitimate contender each and every year. There wasn't somebody who snuck into the playoffs at 16th, coming into the championship 4. These guys were all legit contenders. Cripes, if you look back from early in the season until about June or July, regardless of wins, which push you up and lock you into the playoffs, before he had a win, Kevin Harvick led the overall points until about mid-June, early July.
Right.
He was your captain consistent. Then he won a couple of races, puts himself right into the mix, and bada boom, here we are. Kyle Busch won early. He didn't win often. I mean, heck, right. It had been almost 2 to 3 months since we saw Kyle Busch visit Victory Lane, and he does it in grand fashion Sunday night. Let's be honest. He wanted it. They all wanted it, but Kyle Busch, I think in his heart and in his mind, I'm sure he walked into this thinking, I have the most to prove out of anybody.
Right.
You have Martin Truex, who led all 4 of those drivers with 7 wins on the season. You had Denny Hamlin, who had 6 wins on the season, had, just a tremendous playoff run with the exception of Texas. You have Kevin Harvick, who everybody knows, they don't call him the closer for nothing. He will sneak up and he will pass you. He will win a race, and he's consistent. I think Kyle Busch came in thinking, I haven't won in 3 months. I don't want to be looked at as the guy who was a one-trick pony. I have to go out there and I have to shove this race down everybody's throat. And he did exactly that.
And not only that, you also had 2 of the playoff drivers in the race on Sunday that had some problems, which, of course, you had Martin Truex Jr., who had the whole tire changing problem, which I think they put the front tires on the back or something like that, and I guess they forgot to tighten them on or whatever. But I'd probably say the biggest devastation blow would definitely have to go to Denny Hamlin, which they were supposed to put the tape on the grill, and I guess they kind of put it on the grill, which they kind of blocked the air coming out of the vent and so forth, which that made the temperature go up and so forth. And pretty much, crew chief Chris Capehart, claimed responsibility for that, And again, it was a pit error. Of course, you're trying to win a championship, but even though, like, even if you crash, but not only if you do crash, but even if you mess up a pit road, whether it's a tire violation, whether you speed down pit road, or what we just saw with the 11 car, boom, your championship hopes are done. And that's what happened with the 11.
Mm-hmm. And, again, all four drivers coming in with a top 10 finish shows that, Denny Hamlin and his crew, hey, we screwed up. We have to get back up there. And for him to come back, battle back, get that top 10, good day for him. Now, again, not the day he wanted. I mean, you could point to three different drivers and say not the day they wanted. Only one guy had the day they wanted, and that was Kyle Busch.
Right.
But I don't think Martin Truex, Kevin Harvick, or Denny Hamlin have a whole lot to be upset about other than losing a championship, but they put in respectable runs, looked great all day. Two of them overcame mishaps and still finished their championship hopes with a respectable day.
If you think about this, so let's say if we had a non-playoff, if we had this race in the non-playoffs, Kyle Busch would have won the title by 2 points.
Okay.
He would have won the title by 2 points over Kevin Harvick. Everybody else, they would be separated by 37 points. And then pretty much Brad Keselowski, who would have been sitting at 203, your championship season would be over. It would literally be over if you're at that number.
Yeah. What else can you say? Bad luck hampered a couple different guys this year. Unfortunately for Keselowski, his came in the playoffs. You look at a guy like Kyle Larson, his has been spread out so far over the season that I'm sure, and I know for myself now that the season's over, I'm questioning if he's going to get his confidence back going into 2020.
I would probably say so. I would think I think they would get their confidence back, but I do expect them, to run a lot better than what they did this year. I mean, yeah, they already have one win this season. Probably I'd say it would be a good season, but then yet again, I expect it to be a lot better in 2020.
All right. Now, why don't you roll it out? Tell us how they finished.
All right. So Kyle Busch finished the race in first. You have Martin Truex Jr. in second. Erik Jones rounds out in third. Then you have Kevin Harvick in fourth. And then Joey Logano rounds out your top five. Then you have Clint Bowyer in sixth. You have Ryan Newman in seventh. Austin Dillon in eighth. Alex Bowman in ninth. And then Denny Hamlin rounds out the top 10. And then you have Ryan Blaney in 11th. You have Daniel Hemrick in 12th. Jimmie Johnson, who finishes off the season with 2 winless streaks. You have 13th, and then Daniel Suarez in 14th. Chase Elliott in 15th. Then you have Brad Keselowski in 19th. You have Matt DiBenedetto, who finishes in 20th. Then you have Kurt Busch, who finished in 21st. Eric Almirola in 22nd. And then moving right along, you have Ryan Preece in 25th. And then, let's see, you got Bubba Wallace in 34th, and then Kyle Larson in 40th.
Okay, why don't you go ahead with your happy and sad?
All right. So my happy, I'm definitely going to have to go with Erik Jones, finishing off the season in third. Good season for him. He had that one win at Darlington, but, again, he had some inconsistent luck. But good finish for this 20 team, and hopefully they'll be pretty good next year. And then, of course, my sad would have to go to Kyle Larson, who ended up finishing in 40th. Probably not the best run that they expected, but, again, I do expect them to run a lot better next season.
Okay, my sad is also Kyle Larson for every reason you put up. God, I'm breaking the rules again, but you know what? Every now and again, you just have to. My happy is going to go to all for the top 10, all 4 of them with tremendous runs. You have Hamlin 10th, Harvick 4th, Truex Jr. 2nd, your eventual winner and 2019 Series champion, Kyle Busch, coming home with the win. This might have been not my favorite championship 4, but certainly the most competitive championship four I've seen in a very long time.
I agree. And did we lose him? Or
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Did you hear any of that?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good. Well, let's move right along then to the picks and the points. Closing out the season, Corey took Martin Truex Jr. as his lock. He finished second. He took Kyle Larson as his sleeper. He finished 40th. And he took Joey Logano as his hopeful. He finished fifth. That's a total of 47. Corey, you end the season on a 15.3. I had Kevin Harvick as my lock. He finished 10th. I had Denny Hamlin as my sleeper. He finished 10th. 10th, that's right. And Chase Elliott at 15 was my hopeful, a total of 29. I'm going to end the season on a 9.3 with the 3 points. And your final stats for the year, guys, some call it luck. I prefer to call it, well, luck, really. Luck is the only reason I won this year. The final tally, 106-93. Sounds like a Celtics game. Very close, very competitive. And I can't say enough about how much I had fun. Now, I want to go back real quick just to show you how this goes. Corey locked me out. I mean, basically, he shut me out this many times. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks I got shut out. And I shut Corey out, let's see, 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. So we're just battling over and over again. It's just on the weeks, those shutout weeks didn't help, but on the weeks that say we had the triple runs, I happen to have good weeks. When we have double runs, Corey usually walks away with those weeks with the truck and the Xfinity. I don't know how. I don't know why. I'm just glad I did. And man, I had fun. I'm looking forward to this battle next year as well.
And I could probably just say this. I think next year is going to be exciting schedule-wise, but I think you're probably going to see the best racing in 2020 from what we know of.
Absolutely. And let me ask you this, and I already know the answer because if you're anything like me, your mantra is I hate to lose. Your picks in 2020 before we even have lap 1. I know this year you went with a lot of the stats, and in some of those races it paid off, and in some of them the stats kind of hurt. This year, this coming year, would you say you're going to pick more with your gut, or are you going to stick with the stats?
I'll probably just stick with the stats, but mostly will probably be with my gut.
All right. Fair enough. Hey, 13 point separation is not that bad. I can guarantee you this, guys. Next year, I'm probably going to lose by 20 to 25 points. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Because this is going to be like, I think, 2 years ago when we started keeping records and Corey just blew me away every single week.
Right.
But you put free stuff on the line, and Chris is going to go all out to try to win.
Indeed.
Now, I've made my pick. I will debut it as soon as it comes in. I'm going to let Corey wait till after Christmas, the holidays. Get your woman and her stuff and your parents and all that craziness. And we break into 2020. The request will come in, and hopefully have it by the time Daytona gets.
Right.
All right. And I'll give you my address so you can send it. You don't have to drive it down. I won't embarrass you like that.
Okay.
But you did have a question. Go ahead.
So this is pretty much just the shirt, right?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. And I'm guessing you want probably a Harvick shirt, from what I understand.
It's gonna come down to one of 3, and I will have my final decision probably by the end of next week. It's either gonna be Kevin Harvick, or I'm gonna wait till January when the new stuff comes out and throw down maybe a Guido T-shirt.
Yeah.
Or as we discussed on Sunday, it might come down to that beautiful MRN shirt.
Yeah. Something tells me you might want the MRN shirt.
Probably, but let me wait. Let me see what's out there, and you're probably right.
Just see what's out there first, and then you can pretty much decide.
Absolutely. So you had a question on your, every week, if you don't see it on Facebook, if you're not on Corey's personal Facebook, he puts up that little story every week with multiple panels. And one of the questions you had, Corey, which really
music.
I was yes, but not always good music.
Right.
But one of the questions you asked was, what do you think was the best race of the year? And ever since I saw that, I'm racking my brain. I'm like, wow, what would I consider the best race of the year? And I came up with two, one of them being the championship race from Sunday for the Xfinity Series. And the other one was the Cup Series race at the Charlotte Roval. Those are my two favorite races of the year of 2019.
Okay. Pretty much for me, geez, this one had to be a little bit of a tough one, but I would have to go to, well, one I would have to say the Cup race, and one I would have to say would be the Daytona 500 because, everything was exciting, and then you saw the 10-car crash right at the end, and pretty much, that's, pretty much how Daytona Talladega is. The big run always strikes, you never know what's going to happen. And of course, not only Denny Hamlin wins the second Daytona 500, but he ends up winning the race for Coach Joe Gibbs after his son J.D. Gibbs passed away in January. And actually, I almost forgot this. So just think about this. So Joe Gibbs Racing wins the Daytona 500 with Denny Hamlin, and they cap off the year winning the championship with Kyle Busch. I mean, you can't even say that's a storybook ending.
No, it's absolutely what it is. I cannot look back at any other beginning and end of the season where, not only was it the same. How do I put this? It's the same team, basically. It's the 18, the 11, that whole run, the 19, the 20. They're all one team. They're separated into four different groups, but they're all one team. The same team starts the season, ends the season, and wins the championship. Yeah, there's a Hollywood guy out there licking his chops saying, I should have wrote that. I should have wrote that and made a lot of money doing it.
Exactly. And then my other best race of the year, and this one had to do in the Truck Series, so mine would have to go to the Texas race in June when Greg Biffle finally got back into a NASCAR stock car or truck, whatever you call it, and ends up winning the race for Kyle Busch Motorsports. And I thought that was really awesome, that Biffle came into a one-race deal, ends up winning the race. And quite honestly, I really want to see Greg Biffle back in NASCAR, probably run like a part-time basis in the trucks and whatnot. But I thought those were really those are one of my races that I thought were pretty good this year.
All right. Fair enough. So before we close out tonight, is there anything else you'd like to discuss before we close the book on 2019 season?
Well, all I can just say is, 2019 was a really good season. We saw a lot of exciting racing. We saw some surprises. And, of course, we saw probably two races where drivers who ended up finishing first ended up getting disqualified with this new with this new post-race inspection rule and whatnot. But I thought it was a really good season. I think the youth movement is going to be booming, and it's going to be booming a lot more next year. Now with Jimmie Johnson, announced that he was going to retire after 2020. So now if you think about it, we only got about a few veteran guys left. Some that have been racing since 2001, and then most that have been racing since 2004 or 5-ish or something like that. But what I really expect out of 2020 next year is I really want to see how the schedule, plays out. I really like how NASCAR did a lot of things, jumbling up the schedule and all that. Of course, you got the championship race at Phoenix next year. You got the regular season finale at Daytona, which is now the last weekend of August. I really think they shouldn't have took out Daytona 4th of July weekend because now 4th of July goes to Indianapolis, but we'll see how that does. I'm really looking forward to the doubleheader weekend at Pocono. I think that one is going to be very interesting to see how that's going to play out. But the one thing I'm really excited about the most is how NASCAR changed the playoff races quite a bit. Well, not only they changed it, but they shuffled a lot of the races. And if you look at the 10 races, all the playoff races that start from September to November, think about this. we got a lot of short tracks. We have a lot of road courses. We got some super speedways. We have some intermediates in there. And I got to tell you one thing, and this is what the fans were talking about for years. They wanted more short tracks. They wanted more road courses. They wanted this and that and so forth. NASCAR gave them this, and they decided, you know what? This is what's going to be on the 2020 schedule. And I have a good feeling. I think next year's playoff races is going to be a lot exciting than what we saw this year. Of course, with the Charlotte Roval, I thought it was a great race. I don't know how Chase Elliott ended up coming back after, hitting the tire barrier and all that and whatnot. But not only I'm interested with the schedule, but I'm also going to be interested to see how NASCAR does the schedule in 2021. Now, I think rumor has it that they're probably going to announce it, I think, like in the spring of next year. I don't know, but they're still going to probably do some final details about it and so forth. But I think it's going to be a great season next year. I think the youth movement is going to be booming up just about quite a bit. And honestly, I just can't wait till Daytona Speed Weeks in February. I really can't wait.
As always, it's a tough road in these next 88 days waiting for the Daytona 500. It's Wednesday now. The final race was just this past Sunday, and I started feeling the itch about 3 hours ago, thinking about Sunday and, mapping out the day and saying, okay, the Falcons play at 1 and the race, oops, there's no race.
Right.
I mean, it plays into my hands the Sunday following when I have to bring my daughter home after Thanksgiving break because, the Falcons play on Thanksgiving, and B, there's no race on Sunday. I could walk her home if I wanted to, all the way to Brattleboro, Vermont. Yeah, and last year I kind of giggled and I gave you hell. I was like, you got football, you got this, you got that. And I said the same thing to you this year, a little nicer. But yeah, when I got to thinking about this Sunday and mapping out my day, I realized there's not going to be any NASCAR this Sunday. And it is a little heartbreaking. The first Sunday is always the hardest. The first Sunday and that last Sunday before Speed Weeks. Yes, you have the Super Bowl. Yes, everybody's in the room and partying and having a good time. And Dallas is not there, so everybody's happy about that. But at the same time, you're thinking 7 more days and Speed Week start. 7 more days and Speed Week start. And then you're counting the days, 13 till Daytona. And when I say Daytona, I'm not talking about Speed Weeks. I'm talking about the Daytona 500, the Super Bowl of racing, the granddaddy of them all, at the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway. But yeah, this first week and then that last week after the Super Bowl, before Speed Weeks kicks off on that Thursday, yeah, those are the toughest 2 of the off season. But the best part is, guys, every other Wednesday, starting 2 weeks from tonight, we're still going to be here, and we're going to come up with some stuff. We already got Jason Blue when we talked to him on Sunday to commit to 2 weeks from this Wednesday, and we're going to talk to him. Unabashedly, he is a Chase Elliott fan, but he also digs Kyle Busch. Don't know why, because Kyle Busch is #NotMyChampion. But, again, Jason and I disagree. We agree on one thing. Kyle Busch is certainly the real deal, first ballot Hall of Famer. There's nothing about what he does when his hands are on that wheel that you basically you can't deny his talent. Where Jason and I disagree, no, and where Jason and I disagree is that I say Kyle Busch is a petulant child, like I said earlier, who thinks the sun doesn't rise until he opens his eyes in the morning. I think he's a baby. I think he's a child. I think Kyle Busch, when he doesn't get his way, stomps his foot and pouts or gives you the silent treatment, whereas Jason thinks that's refreshing. We need more of that. No, we don't.
Right.
We need less of that. But that's going to be up for debate when Jason comes on in 2 weeks. We will have him. Joey Ternullo also is going to be back with us, Connecticut racing champion. And he's going to be talking to us. I'm still working on a particular Truck Series driver, hopefully to come on, part-timer, who is also a musician. So we're going to have some fun. Let's have some fun. And I've been asked by the driver. I can't even tell Corey who it is because I've been asked, until he's got to clear it with his people and then he comes on. But it's going to be fun. It's a name you guys have heard before. So, rock and roll. Let's have a good time.
I definitely can't wait.
One last time for the 2019 season. The book is now closing. The last time with points on the line, the last time with picks, the last episode until February of 2020, I say to Corey, do you have anything to pimp, plug, or otherwise push upon the people?
All right. Well, keep following the C&J Speedway Review on Facebook. Make sure you guys like us and you'll get notifications and whatnot. And also make sure you subscribe onto YouTube. Hit the bell for notifications. And also don't forget to follow us on Instagram. We are at CJ Speedway. And then Twitter, we are at CJ_Speedway. And all I can just say is to everybody, all the families out there, next Thursday is Thanksgiving. So I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, a happy Turkey Day, and whatnot. So it's going to be turkey and football. I can't wait.
Doing my math correctly, you guys, your team, the New England of Foxborough, Massachusetts, are going into battle against those dastardly Dallas Cowboys. Is this correct?
Yes, we are going to win against the Cowboys at 425, and we are going to win, I want to say, I'm going to give out a final score. I'm going to say 30-28.
Okay, hold on. I'm writing this down. Pats 30.
Yeah.
Cowboys 28.
Yes.
All right. Well, at 8:20 that night, the mighty Atlanta Falcons will be going up against their arch nemesis, the New Orleans Saints, for the second time this season. If you missed the first game 2 weeks ago, you missed a lot. The Falcons put up the performance of the season so far for them. One thing about that team is when they lose, they've lost by mere points. They score enough to beat almost every other team in the league except the one they're staring at. The offense isn't the problem. But the last couple of weeks, that defense, which has had holes in it that you could drive the entire Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series through, has finally seemed to tighten up. They have a big win against the Saints 2 weeks ago. This past weekend, when Corey and I were doing the live stream, a 29-3 victory over the Carolina Panthers. So on Thanksgiving Day, I am predicting Falcons 34, Saints. I'm going to let them score a couple more points than they did last time. I think they scored 9 points in that last game. So we're going to give them 34-21. Falcons win the late Thanksgiving game.
Yeah.
All right. So I've got nothing to push. Loki and Jabroni show obviously went off last night. We did our monthly Do You Know What's Effed Up? We talked about Colin Kaepernick. We talked about Jeffrey Epstein. If you are a sports fan like I are and you want quality, stitched, very fairly priced, throwback priced jerseys, contact me through the C&J Speedway Review. If you live in Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, your shipping will be low priced. But if you live anywhere in the lower 48 here in the United States, shipping is a little bit more. But trust me when I tell you this, if you want a quality jersey at a $40 price, contact the C&J Speedway Review. I will get your request into the right hands, and you'll be walking home with a quality jersey at a throwback price.
Yeah.
And that includes you, Corey. If you need any more Celtics gear, Red Sox gear, or Patriots gear, we'll get you in touch with our guy.
All right.
All right. So, oh, boy, the last time we're going to hear this in the regular season portion of our show, but we'll hear it in 2 more weeks. Corey, just give them those last final 2 words of the C&J Speedway Review.
Buenos noches.
Good night, guys. Thanks for a great season.
All right. Thanks for a great year, guys. We're looking forward to 2020.
And now we're looking forward to Ed getting back in his seat and closing it all out. So if you're watching us on YouTube, buenos nachos. And this is the after portion. This is the part where Eddie cuts it out, and you don't hear it on Apple Podcasts or Anchor FM or Stitcher or anywhere else.
Yeah. I actually looked at the Thanksgiving games for next week, and other than the Falcons and Saints, that it's going to be very interesting. But I probably say the one game that I'm kind of looking forward to the most is Buffalo and Dallas.
Wait a minute. I thought it was Buffalo and the Lions.
No, Detroit's playing Chicago. That's the first game. And then the second, yep. And then the second game, you got Dallas and Buffalo.
Oh, that's right. You guys have the Cowboys this weekend.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm still writing that score down. It's still going to stay right there.
Yeah.
So that's this week, and then mine is next week. I'm liking the chances as far as Atlanta's concerned. We go in play Tampa Bay. They're 3-7. We're 3-7. We look a lot better than they do. Even when we lose, we look a lot better than they do. I think you're seeing a resurgence. This is not a playoff team. They could have been, but right now, 8-8's not out of the realm of possibility for Atlanta.
I don't think it's out of the possibility either. So,
somebody said to me the other day, it was funny. If Atlanta wins out, you got an outside shot at the playoffs. I said, if Atlanta wins out, you're probably going to find me, dead of a heart attack somewhere. That's not going to happen.
Oh my God.
It's not going to happen. I like the enthusiasm. I like what, my friend was trying to do and trying to say, but it's not going to happen. Especially going down the stretch with some of the tougher teams we're about to face, it's not going to happen. We could ostensibly finish. I'm saying 8-8. I don't think 9-7 is a real possibility.
I could probably see that. Yeah.
All right, I gotta get. Oh shit! Somebody gotta find Eddie.
Eddie.
I gotta get some fun stuff for this basement tomorrow.
Yeah.
You don't understand. I'm like literally frozen in fear right now. This is not bueno. This is not bueno at all.
No bueno.
No, it's not. It's the opposite of bueno. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a deep breath. This is really not cool.
Right.
Yeah, I've never wanted to leave this spot more in my life than right now.
Right.
I'll explain it later, but yeah, this is okay. I know what I have to do.
Right.
Oh God. All right. God bless you. All right. Can you text him or something, or did you already do that? Or all right.
I'm gonna text him right now.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Okay, I don't know why it's not sending.
I don't know. Well, let me try. I'll kill this camera for a second. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I'm sorry. Because technically it's running off the phone, so.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. It's gonna be a good day. Always a good day. I don't know if that's a real song or not. I made that up.
Probably made that up.
What's that?
You probably made that up.
Oh, I know for sure I made it. It sounds good though.
Yeah.
I keep looking up at that spot, that little mother. All right. Well,